Documentation training. We're going to discuss how to effectively document for Medicaid services. Let's first review some definitions. Code of State Regulation, also known as CSR, is the state authority source that describes the requirements of documentation of services that are funded by Missouri Medicaid, MoHealthNet, and Federal Medicaid, Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, also known as CMS. Missouri Medicaid Audit and Compliance, also known as MMAC. This is the Missouri's auditing entity through the Department of Social Services. The Code of State Regulation 13 CSR 70-3.030 Sections 2 and A defines adequate documentation and adequate medical records as follows. Adequate documentation means documentation from which service is rendered and the amount of reimbursement received by a provider can readily be discerned and verified with reasonable certainty, meaning the amount of documentation needs to equal the amount of time spent. The documentation required components as per 13 CSR 70-3.030 is the first name and the last name and either the middle initial or the date of birth of the person being served, and an accurate, complete, and legible description of each services provided. The DSP signs the note with their printed name, their title, and then their signature. They also have to present the date of the service in the month, the day, and the year, the amount of time in hours and minutes spent completing the service, the actual begin and end time taken to deliver the service must be documented. So for example, if you worked from 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. must be present. Please note that AM and PM should always be documented. The actual setting in which the service was rendered, and the recipient's progress towards the goal stated in the treatment plan. The progress note should be completed on each shift for residential services and for each service delivered for that specified time period of delivery. In writing the progress note, the DSP should keep in mind that if the activity or the event is not documented, then there is no evidence of the service delivery. Essentially, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. The daily progress note is used for staff to convey important information about that person to the next shift. It can be used as a checks and balances system for administration of medications. It can also be used to ensure needed appointments were made for the person. Also to ensure that outcomes are being worked on. It is also the place to look for important information on the person to make certain the information is kept current and is incorporated into the personal plan. Information documented on the daily report should be useful and detailed. Words such as good, bad, no problems should be avoided. These words do not tell the reader useful information. Describe to the reader what good means. For instance, instead of Johnny had a good day, describe the person's day and what made the day good. Focus on who, what, when, where, why, and how. Keep documentation factual. Avoid writing your opinion and hearsay. Key words to use are assisted, teach, taught, guided, mentored, prompted, modeled, helped, supported, monitored, and encouraged. Information documented should reflect the time spent with the person, where they went, and etc. The note also helps leave a paper trail for any liability issues the agency may experience or any possible abuse or neglect situations. Evidence of service delivery during an audit. Therefore, if documentation was not completed, the agency could be required to reimburse Medicaid for the service delivered. It's also useful with development of the monthly summary. And finally, the note contains important information about the person to help maintain the health, safety, and welfare of the people we serve, and to support them in making their life rich and meaningful. This reinforces what is in the personal plan. For all the information that you have just received can be found in 13 CSR 70-3.030 or by clicking on the link below. You will now continue your training with some guided points with your instructor.